Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the project manager's career blueprint, and we're going to be discussing how you can go from zero formal experience to hired professional in project management. Now, if you are joining this video or any of my channels for the first time, my name is Dr. Tio Betse. I am a Doctor of Philosophy in Complex Project Management. I've been involved in projects and programs for the last 20 years and I have several certifications and also train across a variety of certifications around project management as well as training generally at universities. I'm the author of the AI Enabled Project Manager and also the founder of Project Toolbox, which is an AI powered project management tool. All right, so let's first start with the mental shift. Now, if you're looking to become a project manager, firstly, you have to realize that you're not starting from zero. And even though the first slide talked about starting from zero, in essence, you're not really starting from zero. You have been doing project management without even knowing it. Now, yes, it might not necessarily have been project management in the way that we all know it, but in some way that you were adding value and gaining some skills that would be an advantage for you if you are looking to reposition and move your career away from where you are today into project management. Because every time that you did any sort of work in terms of unstructured work, in some way that was adding value in building skills around project management. So think about it whenever you organized colleagues, that was in some way project management. Anytime you track deliverables, you managed a deadline, each of these was project management in some way. And in many ways, you could translate that into scope management, schedule, control, risk management, and stakeholder engagement. Each of these would be project management in one way or the other. Now, let's demystify something here. The formal job title of project manager is just the visible tip of your actual experience. When people say they have a formal PM job title, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a misconception that you only gain a valid experience when you are at that tip. Below the surface, there's a lot of transferable skills and experience that you have amassed on a day-to-day basis, on every day, in terms of helping with organizing teams, helping with tracking deliverables, managing budgets, and so on. And so you're likely already doing substantial project management stuff that you've not realized, and you're just labeling it incorrectly. And that is part of what I'm going to help you achieve or at least understand in this video. So again, you are doing a lot of things. You're most likely not going to start from zero, even though you're trying to navigate from where you are today in your career into a project management space. Now, the key thing in terms of the skills translation, if you already have some skills, so if you're currently, let's say for example, you were a teacher or an educator, you have some skills which relate to teaching, which are organizational skills and communication skills, which you already have currently as a teacher. And you can translate those skills into project management, because in project management, organization communication is very important. If you're a healthcare administrator, for example, you already have skills that relate to bringing process management. You're used to working in a process-driven environment, working in compliance, and all of that. If you're an engineer, you're very technical in some ways, or a technical specialist, you already have certain skills that would help with technical planning and problem solving. If you're an event coordinator, you're used to logistics and budgeting and so on. Of course, if you're an IT specialist or professional, you're also helping or already fully aware of different ways. So you've built skills around traditional or non-traditional sort of system thinking and delivery focus. But the point here is you have skill sets that you're going to transfer into project management. And all of these things here on the right are ways that those skill sets or areas where those skill sets will be valuable when it comes to project management. So, of course, what we're saying here is that you can accumulate valid experience immediately by leading small initiatives. Now, this is just for those who don't even have what I've just said. So some people probably are new fresh graduates, etc., and they might probably say that, well, I don't have experience. I don't have the experiences that you're talking about. But yes, even if you're fresh from university, you've probably done a few things. But even if you're looking at it from just being involved in other spaces, in your workplace, you could lead, or you might have already led a process improvement initiative, or you can pick one of that sort of initiatives up as part of a volunteer experience sort of thing. And I would explain to you how you could then translate that into project management experience shortly. You could, maybe you've already managed a rollout of a new internal system, you've implemented a new internal policy which you're involved in. If you're a part of a community, a church, or something like that, you might have organized a team event, coordinated a training day. All of those could be things that are small initiatives that start to build your experience in project management. Of course, if you've launched a new website, and these are just examples, but there are different things that you could have done, or you might have done, or can do, that would build that experience and will take you straight into your trajectory towards the direction of project management. The point here is that opportunities are everywhere. And once you know where to look, you then can build that experience and it will help you in transitioning into project management. Now, of course, all of these experiences must be actively translated into professional project management achievements. Of course, acquiring the experience is only the first part. So if you were to pick up on some of those small activities or tasks and initiatives, you also need to translate that into professional PM language. And that is the only way people begin to recognize that you know what you're talking about and you can add value to their organization. Because, of course, raw experience goes through the translation process, as we can see in this diagram here. And what comes out of it is a professionally framed achievement that employers can then recognize. So without that translation here, your experience is invisible to hiring managers. So you need to deliberately use project management terminology to translate everyday tasks into professional achievements. So I'm going to give you an example here. Now, one example here is the translation matrix that I've put here in terms of 3 examples that provide you with how a way that you could translate what you currently do or have done into project management professional language that will be recognized by employers. Now, your everyday language, you probably would say, I helped organize a team event. That sounds like typically what most people would say. But if you're going to frame it professionally into project management, that would then be translating to, I led a cross-functional event project, coordinating 12 stakeholders and delivering within a £500 budget. Now, of course, you have to put the actual things that you did in terms of these numbers there, but this is just an example. Now, what you've done there is you've highlighted a stakeholder and cost management skill. But if you left it as I helped organize a team event, of course, it means that you're missing out on the opportunity to highlight to that employer that you actually have stakeholder and cost management skills. Another example here is I sorted out a problem at work. Some people would write that in their CV, but if you rephrase that and added a little bit more of professional language into it, I managed an issue resolution process, identifying root cause, assigning actions and tracking resolution to closure. You're highlighting the fact that you have the ability and the skills to manage risks and issues. So that's risk and issue management. I helped train new staff. Again, you designed and coordinated a structured onboarding program for 8 new team members across 4 weeks. If an employer read that in your CV, that would make more sense in terms of understanding exactly what you added as value. And from that perspective, you highlight that you have resource and program planning experience. So hopefully you can see how you can translate what you currently have done or what you're planning to do in terms of experience into program management or project management language, professional language to be precise. And that highlights exactly how much value or what value you would bring to that business. Now, a perfectly translated achievement isolates leadership, complexity, and skill. So let's look at this example that we've drawn from the previous slide. Led a cross-functional event project coordinating 12 stakeholders and delivering within a £500 budget. As you can see, the verb that is active here in terms of leadership is led. And this demonstrates ownership rather than just participation. This is important, especially for an employer who's looking to hire you when it comes to your project. Of course, you've used PM terminology here because it's cross-functional, so multiple teams working together. If you had different people from various departments working together, it means that it was a cross-functional event. Now, of course, there's quantifiable metrics in this statement as well. 12 stakeholders, £500 budget. That tells us, the size of team you are potentially managing or you're engaging in terms of stakeholders and how much you are managing. This is a way that you could clearly highlight, the work you've done instead of just making it look very basic like we saw on the previous slide. So this shows that the transformation from passive to active language, and this is crucial in terms of transitioning into project management. Now, career progression requires shifting from accidental execution to intentional framing, and that is what we're just talking about. So the accidental PM, is where you're performing core duties without realizing it, where you're letting work speak for itself, where you're using passive everyday language. And so if you're going to move into project management, you need to move towards the sort of intentional PM. So you have to intentionally seek out leadership responsibilities. You need to execute tasks systematically, and you need to demonstrate that in your resume as well as you need to frame outcomes correctly so that employers instantly recognize practical capabilities. So execute them using PM tools, frame the results professionally, elevate by adding each achievement to your portfolio. So as you keep building that experience, you need to keep framing these to ensure that your employers are aware of the value that you bring to the table. So let's look at the life cycle of, or the continuous cycle of professional growth, particularly when it comes to project management. First, I would say seek, number one, and that is actively hunt for small initiatives across your workplace, your community, and digital domains. This is important to build your experience and your knowledge, and obviously help you when it comes to professionally writing. And now that you've seen how we frame professional PM language on your CV and your resume, you can then, based on the experience you get from now going forward, you can then frame it to highlight that skill set. Then execute, of course, manage the process, coordinate stakeholders, and deliver outcomes. Don't wait for the title to do the job. Do the job and then translate the work, and then the title will eventually follow. And of course, like I said, we've talked about framing. So number 3 is frame. And then, of course, leverage recognized capabilities to secure larger projects and formal titles. And it continues in that cycle. And before you know it, you would start to pick up, work within certain projects, might move into programs, and then most likely portfolios. So just before we round up this video, just some tools that you might need to be familiar with, and then I'll talk about some soft skills that you need to start building on and developing as part of trying to become a project manager. One will be your planning tools. One will be Microsoft Projects and Smartsheets. There are several of them. These slides are just showing just a little bit in terms of some of the tools, just to give you an initial idea of some of these things. For tasks, you have Asana, Trello, and Jira. For collaboration, you have your typical Microsoft Teams and Slack, as well as SharePoint. Just depends on where you're working, which part of the world you are in. Now, there is a tool called Project Toolbox, which I founded, which is an AI-powered PM ecosystem. Now, I will put a video up in the next few weeks where I'll demonstrate how it works, but it's a very powerful tool that is used to manage your projects, powered by AI, and it does quite a lot. So it has AI features that help with planning, help with risk identification, and structured templates, and so on. If you wanted to try a demo, you can reach out to us at info@pmgtsolutions.com, and we can invite you for our beta testing demo. Now, like I said, and I promised to talk about, which is soft skills. So when it comes to soft skills, there are several soft skills that will be relevant, but I'm going to only mention 4 of them here. At the center, of course, the 5th one is communication, but I've put it at the center because as a project manager, this is where you really need to get your boots up. Communication is the core part of project management. So you need to have very strong communication skills. So try to start building that, engaging with people to try and get that sort of skill up your sleeve. But of course, you're going to need to inspire people and work in areas without formal authority. So you can't command and control in many cases. So you're going to have to work with people in terms of influencing them. So leadership and inspiration or inspiring and motivating people will be a key critical part of your skill set in your toolbox. Problem solving is a very important skill in project management because you're going to deal with situations that are uncertain. You're going to have to be creative about how you solve those problems. Then, of course, you're going to need to negotiate. In many cases, you need to find acceptable outcomes for scope, for deadlines, and for resources. And last but not least, stakeholder management. Again, communication is critical in all of these, but certainly in stakeholder management, 80% of project management is actually managing people. And those people, in most cases, will be your stakeholders. Hopefully, this video was useful. We provide all of this training in terms of certifications. Maybe in the next video, I would look at certifications. If you have any specific areas you want me to do a video on, please share with us and we'll try and put up that video. But we'll provide training around project management at various levels on pmgts.uk, pmgtsolutions.com as well, if you're interested. And we have a course which we're enrolling on AI-enabled project managers, which is coming up very soon. So if you're interested, make sure that you look into the video description. We will put a link there for you to register and be part of the waiting list. See you in the next video. Have a wonderful one.